Hello. All right. This video is on rearranging formulas. Okay. So basically, if you know the relationship between certain quantities, you can rearrange them by isolating different variables. Okay. So let's say we're given E equals mgh. And we want to solve for G. Okay. So if we're given this, basically, if you're wondering, I believe this is the potential energy formula in physics. But yeah, so if I write this out, E equals mgh. Then if we want to isolate G by itself, if our goal is to isolate G by itself, we'll divide both sides by m and h. Okay? So what we see here, the m's will cancel here, and the h's will cancel here. So all we're left with is G equals E divided by M times H. Okay, that's number one. Number two, given PV equals nRT, solve for T. If I remember correctly, I believe this is the formula, this is the ideal gas law in chemistry. So this is PV equals nRT, and our goal is to isolate this variable T. So if we want to isolate T by itself, what I see we can do is we can divide both sides by n times r. So if we divide both sides by n times r, n's cancel here, r's cancel here, then we're left with T equals, T equals PV divided by n times r. T equals PV divided by n times r. Okay? Given V equals IR, you want to solve for I. So if I remember correctly, I think this is Ohm's law in physics. So V equals IR. If you want to solve for I, what you can do is you divide by R. So again, we're isolating I, so we got to cancel that out. And now what we have here is this is I equals V divided by R. I equals V divided by R. All right. Next example. Okay, given S equals A times T squared divided by 2. We want to solve for A. All right. Honestly, don't remember what this formula is, but anyway, what we want to do is we want to isolate A. Okay, so if we're going to isolate A by itself, first what I see is we can get rid of the 2. So we can multiply both sides by 2. And by multiplying both sides by 2 here, we can cancel out the 2's in the numerator and denominator. Okay, so we have 2 times S equals A times T squared. Next, what I see what we can do is we want to further isolate A. So in order to further isolate A, we can divide both sides by T squared. Okay, so if I divide both sides by T squared here, this will cancel out with this, and then we're left with A. So A equals 2 times S divided by T squared. Okay. Next one, number 5. Okay, so given Z equals X minus mu divided by sigma. We want to solve for X. So I believe some of you that might take probability and statistics, you might see this in the future. This type of formula. And let's say we wanted to solve for X. Okay, so we want to solve for X. Z equals X minus mu divided by sigma. Okay, so what we would do here is I see we can get rid of the sigma in the denominator. So we can multiply both sides by sigma. Multiply both sides by sigma. And what we're left with is sigma times Z. Oh, this cancels out. Sorry, missed that. Sigma Z equals X minus mu. Next, we can do is we can further isolate X and we can add mu to both sides. We can add mu to both sides. Okay, this will cancel. So we have sigma times Z plus u equals x. Okay, so if I rewrite this here, this is basically x equals sigma times z plus u. X equals sigma times z plus u. Okay, let's see this one. Given P equals 2L plus 2W, solve for W. This is the formula for a perimeter of some sort of square rectangle. Okay, so what I see here, what we can do in order to solve for W, if we want to isolate that there, what I see is if we rewrite this, we can isolate this whole expression. So let's subtract 2L on both sides. Okay, so if we subtract 2L on both sides, the 2L's will cancel here. So we have P minus 2L equals 2W. Okay. We want to further isolate W. So in order to further isolate W, what we can do is we can divide by 2 on both sides. So dividing by 2 on both sides, this will cancel with this, and we're left with W. So W equals P minus 2L divided by 2. Number 7. All right, so C equals 2 pi r. So this is the formula for the circumference of a circle. Right, so what we can do is we want to isolate r. So what I see we can do is we can divide both sides by 2 pi. If we divide both sides by 2 pi here, this whole thing is gone, this whole thing is gone. So all we're left with is r equals c divided by 2 pi. R equals c divided by 2 pi. And that's it. Okay, number 8, given f equals m times v squared divided by r, solve for v. Okay, so those of you that, actually I don't think any of you have seen this. I believe this is in physics, some sort of force formula. Okay, so what you want to do with this is I can rewrite this. So F equals m times v squared divided by r. First, what I see is that if we want to get v by itself. Let's get v by itself. We're going to multiply both sides by r. Both sides by r. So r's will cancel. So we have r times f equals mv squared. Next, what I see is that we still want to isolate v, so we're going to divide both sides by m. Both sides by m, this cancels. And now we're left with rf divided by m equals v squared. Okay. Now, if you guys could kind of remember from earlier, so the inverse operation of a square would be taking a square root. So by doing that, you have to take the square root of this whole thing. And as you see, the square will cancel out with the square root, which means that by isolating our variable, we have v equals the square root of r times f divided by m. V equals the square root of r times f divided by m. Okay. Next one, given v equals 1/3 pi r squared times h, solve for r. I think this is the volume of a cone. Okay, but anyway, I'm gonna go write that out. V equals 1/3 pi r squared times height. Our goal is to solve for the radius. So in order to solve for the radius here, so what we want to do is, let's see, a couple different ways we can do. I see that I want to get rid of 3 first. So get rid of 3 in the denominator. We got to multiply both sides by 3. Multiply both sides by 3. This will cancel out with this. So we're left with 3 times v equals, so 1 times pi r squared h. So this is just pi r squared h. Right, so we need to further isolate r. So if we want to further isolate r, what I see is we can divide both sides by pi times h. Divide both sides by pi times h. The pi's will cancel with with each other, and the h's will cancel out with each other. So what we're left with is 3v divided by pi h equals r squared. And if you guys could kind of follow earlier, so in order to get rid of this square, in order to get r by itself, we're going to take a square root. We are going to take a square root. So the square root cancels out with the square, which means we're left with the radius equals the square root of 3v divided by pi times h. R equals the square root of 3 times v divided by pi times h. Last one. Given v equals 4/3 pi r cubed, solve for r. So this, I think, is the equation for the volume of a sphere. Volume of a sphere. Okay, so what we're going to do, what I see first, is that just like in the other example, we need to get rid of the 3 in the denominator. We're going to do that same thing for this. Multiply both sides by 3. If we multiply both sides by 3, the 3's will cancel here. So then we're left with 3v equals 4 times pi r cubed. Okay, next step I see is we need to further get r by itself, or just this expression in general by itself. So we need to divide both sides by 4 pi. Divide both sides by 4 pi. The 4's will cancel here and the pi's will cancel out here. So what we're left with is 3v divided by 4 pi equals r cubed. All right, now this one is the interesting one. So as you saw earlier, if you had a square, like something like r squared, we could use a square root to cancel it out. If you want to get rid of a cube, what you would do is you would take a cube root to cancel that out. Okay, let's say it's r raised to the 4th power. You would take a 4th root to cancel out. Anyway, but what we need is the cube root. So let's take a cube root. Cube root. Cube root. Make sure you put the 3 there. That's important. Cube root will cancel out with the cube. And then we're left with a very nice expression. So this is going to be r equals the cube root of 3 times v divided by 4. Yep. And that's basically it. Yep. You could also express this a different way if you're wondering. If you wanted to express this, you could write it as 3v divided by 4 pi raised to the 1/3 power. If you really wanted to, you could rewrite it like that as well. If you want to just write it like this, that's fine. All right. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions on this. Okay, bye.